Today sees both a happy and sad occasion in the form of this giant parcel of silver potential, nearly 40 kilos worth of silver to be unboxed here. And the sad part is that it is likely to be the last massive unboxing that we do for quite some time because of the Brexit transition period ending. And what a time it is for that period to end when silver has had a big dip over the last couple of weeks. So today we're going to chat about why silver's gone down, what that means for your purchasing decisions, whilst we gawp and amaze ourselves at the wonders of unboxing nearly 40 kilos of silver. Hello everybody, Backyard Bullion here, and welcome to this big group order, which, as I said in the intro, is likely to be one of the last that we do as part of the group orders, which we've been organising for nearly 3 years now. I can't believe it's gone quite so fast. I'm going to start cracking this box open because it's a big old pile of silver in here. It's going to take quite a while. And for those who are not familiar about these group orders, this is not all mine. I wish that I could buy this much silver every couple of weeks and unbox it on my channel. Gosh, what a fun job that would be. But it is a collection of other people's purchases that we combine together to make it more efficient for shipping costs. Goodness me, the European Mint have done a good job with the packaging on this. It is very dense. Anyway, the point is that it saves people money. And silver is by far and away the best thing to buy from places like the European Mint because of the VAT arrangements. And that's now coming to an untimely end with silver prices coming down over this last couple of weeks. It's certainly, I think, bad timing for a lot of people because they want to get more silver. It's never been quite so popular. And despite the fact that silver's come down from news in the economy with the S&P 500 going up to 30,000, and also the news of the vaccine pushing optimism into markets and people saying, do you know what? We don't need the safe haven assets quite as much anymore. It does represent this opportunity now for people to perhaps buy a little bit more silver. Is that a good thing to do? Are we still expecting silver to go down further? There's still a lot more news to come in terms of optimism for economies, for bounce backs, but at the same time, I feel like there's still a lot of financial impact still to happen for us all as part of the coronavirus interruptions that we're all seeing in life. Goodness me, this package is hard to unbox, let me tell you, which is kind of what you want, I suppose, from a bullion dealer when they securely wrap something quite this well. So what has happened over this last couple of weeks that's made silver go down? Well, primarily the news there about the vaccine is what has fueled it, and it's always about optimism in the markets. And for those that don't really know about it, silver is of course a kind of commodity. It's also a safe haven asset, but it's usually the first one to go when things start getting better after a bad period, because it's a little bit more volatile than gold, but gold is that sort of true safe haven for the long term. And silver is the one that you can leverage, you can get rid of to get that cash in to then invest. Oh, it's going to fall over. There we go. Let's get all of that out of the way. Silver's one that you can cash out to then get the cash to invest in other things. And when I say other things, I of course mean stocks and shares or funds or things that are going to go up because of the optimism on the market. Now, for me, gold and silver plays an important part of my overall kind of investing portfolio, but it's not the only part by a long stretch. We have many other assets, including stocks and shares. And over this last couple of weeks, stocks and shares have gone up ridiculously. I mean, we're talking 10-15% on average, but I've got certain stocks and shares in, for example, airline companies that have gone up 60-70%, some cases even more. And that is incredible because it means huge returns, of course, but it's risky because timing the market of when to sell things like that is, of course, really important. It's all fine and well making profit on paper, but until you actually sell something, you never realize a profit. Now, day traders and traders across the world will, of course, do things like that. Right, we've got, again, things with names on, so let's just move this back a little bit so that we can't see any names on parcels, and then we can start getting some silver on the table. So my point here is that companies and individuals and traders and big money hedge funds and investment funds and things like that, the market movers, the ones that really control the spot price. We all know the spot price is quite heavily controlled and manipulated, and it's manipulated by trading action, and they decided in their wisdom that silver was the one to let go, such that they could then get more of the other things that are going to make them more money. So that's the nuts and bolts of it. There are, of course, plenty of other things at play in the world generally. I'm not really going to go there, but of course the US election plays a factor in all of this. Various other bits of news about potential transitional arrangements being made for the US presidency. I really don't want to go there. I do not want this video to become anything related to the US election, but we have to admit that whatever way it goes, it's going to play a factor in the ultimate way that silver and gold will go. One thing that also makes a huge difference is the relative value of currencies, and that is one of the things that really fuels, for us here in the United Kingdom, more significant movements in metal prices. And ultimately, that value of currency is the thing that really makes the biggest difference. Yes, you've got a lot of these kind of big investors, big funds shifting money out of silver, but ultimately the fact that the dollar and the pound have been fluctuating against each other, and the euro as well, more so now than ever before, has certainly been fueling a lot of the price changes that we've been seeing in the UK, which have been a little bit more exacerbated than in the US. So an awful lot is at play, and it's very difficult to get your head around a lot of this, certainly if you're a new buyer into the markets of precious metals. And I know when I was back starting out in 2015-16, it really was a difficult concept to kind of get your head around, that ultimately it doesn't really matter whether or not the price of silver goes up massively or down massively over the short term. It's about what's going to be right for you in that long term, about your targets, what you want to achieve with your gold and silver. And I know for a lot of people right now, it's not about making a short-term profit. There's going to be arguments to be had that that is possible, certainly with the Brexit transition period for us in the UK ending. But for the majority of people, I think a lot of people think like myself, that in the long term, silver will be an asset that is important to hold. And I do think gold as well, more so perhaps even than silver, but certainly silver and gold both will be asset classes which I think will be very, very important. And it's going back to this value of currency question. It's always about the value of the currency that you hold, and it's a protection, it's a hedge. It always has been. That's what I've said on my channel so many times before. It's not a get-rich-quick scheme. It's not a let's make as much money as we possibly can scheme. It is very much a hedge, an insurance policy, if you will. Now, that's of course all fine and dandy, and it doesn't really necessarily answer a lot of questions about what's the right thing to do going forward. You do still see so many people touting off that silver will go to, $30 an ounce, $40 an ounce, $50 an ounce. And it's important to remember that all of the predictions that anybody makes, myself included, they're just best guesses. They're educated best guesses on instinct about what's happened in the past, about what could happen in the future, but nobody really truly knows. Nobody could have predicted, for example, the impact that the coronavirus would have this year and how much it's changed our world. It's dramatically changed in that respect. And nobody really knows what is going to happen. For example, if there is a Biden presidency, a lot of people think that that's going to make a huge difference for the price of silver. Could do, could not do. Who knows? We'll have to see. And that's, I think, the most important thing, is not to stress yourselves out about it, not to constantly sit there and watch spot prices and worry yourself about markets. It's the same when it comes to the stocks and shares side of things. So I'll go back to my little example there, where I've made huge gains on some stocks and shares this last month. And I was talking with a good friend of mine who in fact inspired a video earlier this year about buying gold. He bought some gold for the first time. He had a lump sum of cash that he wanted to invest in, so he diversified, he bought some gold, but he also bought some stocks and shares. And by far and away, we're talking ridiculously far and away, the amount of return that person has had on stocks and shares compared with the gold it's just staggering. You know, we're talking in some instances, of course it's all a bit of luck, you know, you pick the right stock sometimes, it can go up, it can go down, but we're talking 50-60% returns as opposed to gold, which is basically, it went up, certainly went up from when he bought it, but it's come back down now. And he texted me the other day to say, should have sold my gold when it was £14.50 an ounce, £1,450 an ounce. And I'm like, well, depends what you want to achieve with it. If you're going to got something else to do with the cash, then great. But if you haven't, then in my opinion, again, it's all my opinion, not financial advice, there's not a great deal to be done other than to just sit there and hold it and wait for a rainy day. I mean, we've seen what happens on, you know, massively downturn occasions, and the forthcoming economic impact from the coronavirus out, you know, sort of into the future is certainly going to affect all of that. So I do think it's an interesting comparison to put against the backdrop of there are going to be other things that happen in this world. There are going to be unsuspecting events that happen that nobody can forecast, that nobody can really see coming, and that's going to impact the world. There's going to be a lot of things that people will see coming as well that will impact the world. Of course, we are entering a little bit of an unknown period in the sense of nobody really knows how deep this economic impact is going to be. Of course, there are a lot of predictions that it is going to be huge. So I personally think silver is still something to hold on to. And I do want to just put a little bit of kind of calm attitude to those of you who did perhaps buy when silver was at its higher peak of $28 an ounce, 22, 23 pounds an ounce. In fact, some of that might have been from this particular group order. I think the prices of silver came down a little bit just before this order had opened, but certainly compared with if you bought today, a lot of the silver that you're going to be seeing out on the table here will have been bought at higher spot prices, and it does take time for certainly silver compared with gold to yield a return. And that's one thing that I've talked about in the past before, that I think silver is fundamentally behind on gold in terms of its ability to give a return. It's very much, in my mind anyway, a longer term asset, and that's how it should be looked at, as opposed to a kind of get rich quick scheme. So awful lot going on. Now I want to change tact on conversation topics to the Brexit transition period and the fact that these group orders are now coming to an end, which is a real shame. Like, it's come at a bad time, you know, this world being what it is. I think the fact that people want to buy silver, it's, I think, never been quite so popular. I've certainly seen a huge up spike in the amount of views on my channel and others about silver and gold, and of course things like the Silver Forum have massively increased in popularity too, and I think that's just evidence to back up that silver is popular. There are people out there who have not seen it before who are now discovering this world of silver, and for Brexit to now get in the way and not allow us to have this avenue by which we can buy things like this from the European Mint without having to pay high rates of VAT on it is going to be an interesting thing for the UK silver market going forwards. Now, I've started to see more threads on Silver Forum or comments on social media about how there is an opportunity here for people to make an awful lot of money on their silver on January the 1st, because in a nutshell, let's say right now these Valiant coins here, these 10-ounce Valiants, which boy oh boy look good in this sunlight here, you know, that costs right now roughly approximately £210, £220 perhaps, depending on where you can find them, where you can buy them from Europe. However, as of January the 1st, the cheapest place that you as a UK silver buyer will be able to buy that from is going to be from a UK dealer, because you'd have to pay VAT on import, and then you'd have to pay, you know, shipping as well, so it's going to make it more expensive. All of a sudden you have to add 20% on it. So that 210 is suddenly going to turn into 250, 260 pounds. And that's quite a jump. Overnight, that market could react, and you'll get all of these people who still want to buy silver, and it will yield you a profit. You know, you'll be able to go onto the second-hand market and say, look guys, the cheapest silver that anybody out there can buy is £250 an ounce, so I'm going to sell this for £240 an ounce. You've paid £210 an ounce, you make £30 profit, which is a great return on any piece of silver at the moment. Of course, that's all so far disconnected from the spot prices. So for us in the UK, it's going to be a really interesting situation and period over this next couple of months into the new year, into January, to see what happens. And I do think that there's going to be a lot of people who will be trying this silver flipping, or even if they haven't just bought all this silver now, I think there's going to be quite a few people who will be looking to exit silver as an overall investment. And for me, I have to kind of agree with that. I think that for me, it's an opportunity almost to look to cash out on some of the 10-ounce Queen's Beasts that I've got that are in excess to my stack, you know, in excess to the collection that I wanted from them, and perhaps look to exchange that for gold. Considering this year has been an eventful year for metals generally, and I've still been purchasing gold, and I've not felt bad about purchasing gold when it's at £1,450 an ounce spot price. I've bought a few ounces of gold from the Royal Mint this year at £1,550 a coin, you know, for an ounce of gold. I don't feel bad about that because I think in the long run that will be just fine. But right now, with spot price being down in the 1300s, for me it's saying to myself, yeah, definitely gold seems like a really good price right now. There are these sort of paradigm shifts that have happened over this last year, and I don't think that we'll be seeing the likes of £1,000 an ounce gold and £12 an ounce silver anytime soon. And even if for whatever reason we did see something like that from, you know, manipulated markets bringing silver down, if for whatever reason those prices came down, I think we'll see the exact same scenario as we did earlier in the year, and dealers will be putting high premiums on all of their bits of silver and potentially gold too. So in my head, I don't think that there is, oh, got a COA there, let's keep that safe. I personally can't see a time when silver will be so cheap again in the UK, period. I just can't see it at all. And indeed with gold, I think that where we are right now is almost this new norm. And I remember when I got started buying gold, the very first piece of gold that I bought, oops, that's not gone well. Fortunately, it's okay because these are random year US Eagles. So before anybody shouts at me for dropping some silver coins, it does happen every now and again. These are just a random year bullion grade Eagles, so not to worry. Now, as I was saying though, actually I've forgotten what I was saying. That's distracted me now. I think the general point that I'm trying to make is that there is a new norm, there is a new level where I can't see things going down much lower. I remember now what I was going to say. Back when I got started buying gold, the first piece of gold that I bought, spot price was around about £850 an ounce. You know, we're never going to see those price points again, in my opinion. There is just too much risk out there in the world for the big market players to take all of their cash out from these safe haven assets. I think it's so important for these big organizations to have the safety of some form of metal, and it's just not likely to happen. And I think even if things did start creeping down, there will be a lot of sentiment like myself to say, actually, do you know what? It is a good opportunity to buy gold, even at £1,300 an ounce, £1,200 an ounce. And I think that will then fuel a lot of people buying, especially the big, you know, sort of traders and organizations out there that need to have some leverage. They need to have some, you know, safety nets back there for themselves. Otherwise, it could be a very, very difficult margin call type situation if things go pear-shaped down the line. Now, in terms of recoveries, let's bring it back full circle as we approach the last little bits of silver to come out of these boxes. Recovery is going to be a hot topic over the next couple of months and years. We have, of course, news about vaccines, and the news of those vaccines is what has fueled a lot of the optimism out there. Now, in any situation where there's been a massive downturn, there is, of course, eventually going to be a recovery. It's just cyclical. It's what happens throughout history. We've seen it happen many times before in history. Things like this never are permanent. And there will be opportunities in fact there have been already, many opportunities for people to make an awful lot of money. And that is never going to change. There will still be huge opportunities for investors, individuals. Ooh, that was well done because there's some names on those. Let's move those out the way. There will be plenty of opportunities for people to make an awful lot of money in this recovery period. And when you see massive downturns like we've had, and then subsequent years where it's forecasted to be 7, 8, 9% growth, that's a huge number. If in a normal economic situation you had 8, 9% growth in a economy, that would be incredible. That's like the boom times of China almost. And, an awful lot of money was made in those situations. And that's going to be the case for a lot of people, organisations and things coming forward into 2021. How sustainable a lot of that recovery is going to be is, of course, going to be related to how successful rollouts of vaccines are, how successful economic stimulus packages will be from various governments around the world. I know there's going to be a lot of debt. That's what's scaring a lot of people, and I think that's what scares me the most. The economic recovery is going to be big, it's going to be real, it's going to be lots of interesting times ahead for sure. But the thing that's in the background of all of that is the huge volumes of debt that nearly every country around the world is racking up right now, and that's going to be an interesting situation to deal with into the future, and that's what scares me the most. That's what makes me say this stuff is going to be important going forward, because it is that protection against the value of currencies. And if you do have a situation where massive debt spirals out of control, causes inflation, causes hyperinflation, you want to have a physical asset like this. So that's just my 2 cents on the topic. I know that's been quite a lot to take in for a lot of you, and I want to thank anybody who has been sat here listening to me ramble and struggle with these mass amounts of silver coming out of a box. It's been quite the event to get them all out here, and we'll hopefully have a slightly more organised pile of silver to quickly showcase at some point in the not too distant future. So I want to say a big personal thank you to, first up, the people who've joined in this group order. Being able to do something like this, for you to have your trust in us to take delivery of this and disseminate it out to you, is really invaluable. And of course, it's helped our channel immeasurably over this last 3 or 4 years. So a big thank you to all of you for that. And it's been hard work to do these group orders, but we have always enjoyed it. And I say we because Mrs. Backyard Bullion, who always helps in the background, organising, helping, making sure everything is here, making sure that everything gets into the right boxes and out to everybody involved, is invaluable. So a big thank you needs to go to her. So guys, put a big thank you in the comment section to Mrs. Backyard Bullion. She'll enjoy and get a giggle from that as well. Lastly, I want to say a big thank you to the European Mint, because we've been working with them on these group orders for it's 3 years now. It's 2017, early 17 that we started, I think, with them. And it's just been really good and easy. Like any mass order like this is always complicated, and there's always loads of different things to factor in about how to do this logistically, and the ability to just talk with them and work it out and sort it out with them has been incredible. And I can't say enough praise about how they work and the methods by which they do these kind of things to help not only us organise it and sort it out, but to get everything out in as timely a manner as possible. And lastly, I do want to thank the people who have been waiting a while for this one. This round of group orders this November has been nothing but group order unboxings for us in the Backyard Bullion household. It's been a long time coming for a lot of people, and your patience has been really appreciated. It's really hard to organise when there's over 100 kilos. You heard that right, 100 kilos of silver to organise and ship out. In terms of shipping, it's always difficult to work out what the best way of shipping anything that's of mass value is. And so when you get something like this, where it's 100 kilos, which was nearly 90,000 euros in value, which for dollar terms is about $93,000, that's a logistical nightmare. So it's been a long time coming for a few people, and a big thank you to you all for your patience. It's really very, very helpful. So that's it from this unboxing. Now, for those who have been watching to the end, I do want to give you all a little bit of hope, a little bit of good news. We are talking with the European Mint right now, in fact, this week, about opening up a super secret squirrel. And it's a super squeakwit seal. Super secret squirrel order. One last hurrah. If we can have just one weekend, perhaps this weekend, of ordering 1 or 2 different types of items, Britannia's, Queen's Beast, whatever it is that is in stock and ready to go, the European Mint will be able to dispatch it on Monday or Tuesday next week and get it to us before Brexit. So we are in talks about that. More information will follow. More information will follow on the Silver Forum when everything is agreed. So there might be one last unboxing. Might be. I hope there will be, because I enjoy doing these. I really do. Anyway, look, I've rambled on long enough now. Let me know if you have enjoyed this video by putting a thumbs up on it and sharing it around on your social media. That would be very helpful. And if you want to get notifications when we upload videos, you need to hit that subscribe button. Nearly 70% of all the views on this channel are done by people who are not subscribed. And we're eking ever closer to 30,000 subscribers. So make sure you hit that subscribe button with the alarm bell if you want to get a notification when our videos go live. Otherwise, that is it from us. A big thank you to you all for watching. We'll see you on the next one. And as always, please make sure that you like, share, comment, and subscribe for more.